Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? It is Saturday, and I think it's Saturday, March 11th. And 11 is one of my favorite numbers. I think I got married on June 11th. Maybe that's why it's one of my favorite numbers. So, how is I think? I think I do. I know that I got married on June 11th. Um, but how is everyone doing today? Let me just put on my earpiece so you guys can hear. You guys can hear me. How is everyone doing today? And I just want to say good morning to the ones that are showing up in writing. Grand transformation, good health, Tracy, and everyone. Good health, and thank you, Lisa. Nishiva, good morning, Miss Tracy, and everyone. Good health as well. Good morning, Nishiva, and good health. Good health. And then I said good morning to you all. And Tiffany, good morning and good health. Good health to you, Tiffany, and good health to anyone who's listening in later on, right? Good health to anyone who's listening on right now. So I do have a couple of things to discuss with you. I have a lot of crystals, like a lot. And I can't help myself. I got all my crystals from Escribo Gems. And I love her crystals. Should take a picture of this that I took though. And I broke one of my spears. I think it was a citrine spear, and I broke it. I have a tile floor, and I broke my spear. And it was a huge spear. So I know that everyone says, I believe everyone says, when you break something, it's done its job, blah, 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 and it broke my heart. So I don't know if I can actually believe that, right? Which is interesting because I make a bracelet, let me show you guys, that's meant to break. And I couldn't handle something of mine breaking, right? These bracelets are meant to break. You wear them, you allot yourself 3 wishes, you say a prayer, right? And these bracelets are meant to break, period. And yet, when I broke my spear, let me see if I have a spear in here in any of these pictures. No, I don't have a spear. But okay, see that little round ball? I had something like that, like 20 the size, and it broke. So I was talking on Good Morning Tracy yesterday, and I said, what to myself, I was talking out loud to the feed, but more to myself. And I was like, what if I just put it in a pot of soil, right? And let me take a picture of it. Come with me, guys. I have my earpiece on so you guys can trick along with me. I said, what if I put it in a pot of soil? And so I did that. And I'm telling you guys, it's great to have crystals around the house. Sometimes you just have a lot of little crystals. You don't know what to do with them. I have that, a lot of little crystals. So I decided to make a pot of gold. Crystal gold. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can. There you go. All right. Sun out, but in my house, the sun comes out really early and then it hides and goes to other places, but just doesn't come to my house anymore. The sun shines, it doesn't beam in my house anymore. So I'm going to show you the pictures of the. I'm so proud of myself, by the way. I can't believe I came up with this. It's so amazing. Let me just get some brilliant. No, no, this is fine. See, no. Let's see, highlights. Get some shadows. No, don't worry about the shadows. Contrast, brightness. Oh, I need some brightness. And saturation. Saturation doesn't make that much of a difference. And vibrancy. There you go, the vibrancy. That's good. All right, I'm going to send this one over for you all to look at. And this I put outside my door. So this is in the corner of my door. So I'm going to show it to you guys. I'm so proud of myself. Hold on. And then I have one more thing to show you. Just going to edit this picture too. Look at this. This is a collection. So the three, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces broke apart, right? And then you have pyrite in there. You have the little evil eye crystal in there. The selenite, that selenite actually broke, and I didn't have the heart to throw it out. So I put the selenite in with all the broken pieces, right? You know, and it kind of reminds me, like, as a metaphor of being broken and yet being put back together, not the same way, sometimes more beautiful, right? But sometimes you have to add a little something, right? So I had to add soil, right, to the broken pieces. And it's like, what do you need to add to get put back together without resistance, right? We have to figure out a way not to resist, because secretly we all love misery. I know that's going to be hard for you to understand, but misery is what we gravitate to. And that's the saddest thing ever. So it's going to be important to recognize that there is a problem, to then recognize that what do you need to add? Oh, this is pretty. What do you need to add to be put back together? You know, when I was growing up, my favorite rhyme was Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Humpty Dumpty. Da 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 da. All the king's men and all the king's women couldn't put Humpty back together again. I'm going to look that up, but let me show you this crystal. Hold on. I hope you guys like what I'm projecting here. Visually, I hope you guys like it. A mirror came apart back and front. So I put these crystals on after I crazy glued it. But now I just kind of like it the way it is. And now I just want to replace it and leave it and just get another mirror. Hold on a second. How pretty is that? How pretty is that picture? You cannot get mad with these pictures. Look at this one. This one is now sitting outside my house. And there's pyrite in there. There's a mushroom in there. The selenite was a heart, but it broke. And any other piece that you see other than the pyrite in the two corners is part of the broken pieces of the spear. But I got to tell you, the spear was more beautiful broken. And so I just didn't have the heart to throw it out. Like, throw it out and what, put it in a garbage? No, no. It was still beautiful broken. Right? So are you still beautiful broken? I bet you are. I'm pretty confident that you are. And so with all that being said, I feel like alive again because I was able to make something out of broken pieces, right? And have that be represented as the broken parts of me, right? Rather than take these beautiful crystals and put them in the public trash. I just couldn't do it. So look at that. All right, let me see who else is on. Good morning, Tiffany, and good health. Good health to you. Cashley, good health. And she says, good health, everyone. Be Red is favorite. Grand Rising, Tracy and friends. Grand Rising. Anissa, good morning. Good health. I love this. Looks like a beautiful piece of artwork, right? Giving healing vibes, right? Thank you. And I said the same thing. I said, I wonder what the sun and the crystals are going to do together tomorrow, because I made this last night. And I said, I wonder what the suns and the crystals are going to do together. And I just imagined these rays coming through the crystals. I said the same thing. Lisa said, that's so pretty. Wow, that's so touching. Good morning. Good morning. Good health, guiding light 89. Thank you. Thank you. I woke up happy today. Okay, not only did I wake up happy, I never showed you guys my kitchen table that you all helped buy with my birthday gifts. I'm going to take a picture today to show everybody Monday. But I really do have a beautiful home. And I brought some lamps. I brought a money plant, a money tree. Love my money tree. And I got the money tree for free yesterday. For free. Oh my God, the pot that I picked up didn't have a price on it. And so, and I'm sure it would have been like $15, like easy, right? And so I picked up another pot to transplant the money tree. And so she made the price of the pot that I was going to transplant into, and that was like $3.48. And she goes, there's no price here. And I said, I know. I was like, I didn't notice it until you were looking. And she just kind of like looked at me and she goes, I'm going to charge what I charged you for the pot, $3.48. She's like, that's the price of the tree. And I was like, oh, thank you. And I try not to show too much excitement, but inside I was like, oh my God, yes. But I try not to show too much excitement. And I was like, thank you. That's so sweet of you. Thank you. And then I was with one of my neighbors. I like to call her Driving Miss Daisy. Adorable, adorable. She's like 90 years old. Turns out she's a Leo. She dyes her hair and she's like 90. She does not care. She's not walking around with gray hair, but only a Leo would do that. And so I completely respect her. But I'll call her Driving Miss Daisy because that's the description that I got, which was my impression. And then it turned out to be true. And I kept telling her about the money tree, but you could tell that she didn't believe me, right? I was like, oh, this is a money tree. I used to have one. It grew like a real tree in my house. And when I moved, I couldn't carry it. So I had to give it away to someone, which I did. My assistant took it. He loved that money tree. And so he took it, right? And so you can tell she's not believing me. Like, she doesn't know what I do for a living. So she's like, my language is off for her, right? So she sees me get the money tree for free. And we go outside and she goes, well, that money tree worked for you. I was like, I know. Then I was like screaming. I was like, I know, it's already working. I tried to tell you. I was like, you didn't believe me. You didn't believe me. Oh my God. All right, guys, we are going to get started. We are on page 35, Conversations with God. We are on page 35. So let's get this party started. Tiffany says, refreshing. Old saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. All the stones together are refreshing. I agree, Tiffany. I agree. I've got more stones that I have packaged away that I'm in a box, in a FedEx box, no less. So those stones are coming out, and I'm going to make more pots of crystals. I'm just going to make a whole bunch of them. I agree. Like, these stones are just sitting in boxes. And yeah, let's utilize them better. So you're going to see a whole bunch of, you'll see my next creation. Oh my God, too funny. Okay, what are we doing today? Now I remember what I was supposed to do. Yesterday, I was in a hardware store and I saw, I don't know if it's a book thing or a picture frame thing. And I remember saying, Tracy, get that. And I didn't. And I should have, because I like to be hands-free with reading to you guys, right? And so I got to remember to get that thing. You know, the thing that you can put on display, but it opens up. And I think it's like a book holder or something like that. But it also can be a picture frame holder. But in any case, I'll go back and purchase what I need to purchase, because I need that. I need it for a couple of things, though, so I might get 2 of them, but now I can't remember what I needed it for. Okay, clearly I'm having ditzy moments and talking to myself, but go with me, everyone. Let's get to page 35. If anybody has the book, if you don't, who cares? It's all good in the hood. And I stopped a little early because I now know the rhythm of this book, and so it was going to begin again in a whole new topic, and I didn't want it to start in a whole new topic. So I just want to put out a little bit of prayer, a big prayer, actually, God, to help me to decipher everything that needs to be deciphered, not for myself, God, not just for myself. Of course, I'm learning simultaneously, but because I'm speaking to the masses, will you provide me with everything that I need to know? And give me the opportunity to explain it clearly. I love you, God. I love you, Jesus. In your name I pray. Amen, amen, amen. Okay, page 35. It begins with, are you saying? This is Neil talking. Are you saying that all the bad things that happen to us are things of our own choosing? Do you mean that even the world's calamities and disasters are at some level created by us so that we can experience the opposite of who we are? And if so, is there some less painful way, less painful to ourselves and others, to create opportunities for us to experience ourselves. Remember, there was a part prior to this where God was like, I provided the opposite so that you can have the experience, right? Because God had figured out that not having the opposite doesn't give you the opportunity to truly understand or experience what is given to you. So God provided the opposite. And I kind of feel the same way. I actually don't need the opposite, God. I don't need poverty. I don't need to worry about where my next meal is coming from. I don't need to worry about my children, God. I don't need any of that. And yet it's here. And yet we have to find a way to deal with the opposite that God provided to us on purpose. So Neil is asking, is it absolutely necessary? Is there something else that can be done less painful to ourselves to create opportunities for us to experience ourselves? Like, does it have to be that bad? And God answered, you've asked several questions, and they are all good ones. Let me take them one at a time. No, not all things you call bad which happen to you are of your own choosing. Not in the conscious sense, which is what you mean. They are all of your own creation. Hold on. You've asked several questions and they're all good ones. Let me take them one. No, not all things which you call bad which happen to you are of your own choosing. Got it. Things that you call bad are not necessary of your own choosing. Not in a conscious sense, which you mean. They are all of your own creation. Ah, not all things are bad. Not all things which you call bad, which happen to you, are of your own choosing. But they are all of your own creation. You are always in the process of creating every moment, every minute, every day. How you create we will go into later. For now, just take the word for it. You are a big creation machine, and you are turning out a new manifestation literally as fast as you think. Do you guys understand or believe that? Is that a little hard to believe, right? Is it hard for you to believe that you are a big creation machine and you are turning out a new manifestation literally as fast as you can think? I believe that to be true. I just believe that people don't understand that's what's happening to them, right? I believe all of this. I believe that it's so natural to manifest that we don't understand that we're manifesting always. Does that make sense to you, what I'm saying? Even in reading this book, right? I ask for help, and so I manifest the knowledge because this is the desire that I am looking for, because I asked for it. Does that make sense? So I manifest the knowledge that I needed here, which I think is beautiful, right? All right. You are always in the process of creating every moment, every minute, every day. Do you get that, everyone? That you are always manifesting and creating? And if you don't get that, could that be the homework for today? Just write that down. Homework. Can you begin to see yourselves as manifestors? Even if you think you have a boring life, even if you think you don't do anything. I mean, it's one thing to know an artist and watch them create, right? It's another thing to not see yourself as that same artist and to understand that just by being, you are creating. Every thought you have gives you the opportunity to create. Whether or not you take movement toward creating is one thing, but the creation of who you are is still available to you because it's who you are. All right, let me get back to the book. I'm going to go over it one more time. You are always in the process of creating every moment, every minute, every day. How you can create, we'll go into that later. For now, just take my word for it. You are a big creation machine, and you are turning out a new manifestation literally as fast as you can think. Wow, so pretty. Events, occurrences, happenings, conditions, circumstances are all created out of consciousness. Everything that has ever been produced, everything that is produced is a thought first. Let me see something. You can imagine what kind of creative energy is unleashed whenever two or more are gathered in my name. Now, that part I want to add to this, right? When God says in my name in this book, sometimes I always wonder, and forgive me, God, if I'm wrong, but allow me to argue this point. Whenever I read books in God's name, there are certain times when I believe the author puts in their own impression. And this is one of those times, I just want to point it out, where I do believe that God said, you can imagine what kind of creative energy is unleashed whenever two or more are gathered. Period. The author added, presumably from God, in my name. The only discrepancy that I have with this part here is that people can gather together for creativity, and not necessarily say we're doing it in God's name. So that's the only problem I have here. You know, ad agencies have meetings all day for creative juices. I don't think they're saying it in God's name. Teachers have meetings every day to, solve problems in the school system. I don't believe that they're saying that they're gathering together in God's name. So this I find often when people write books, where they say they've had conversations with God, because I ran against something like this in Embraced by the Light, where I find it, I've read that book for years. Like, you don't understand. I read it over and over and over again. I would give it away as gifts. But it's just that finally, and when I read it out loud in book club, like I'm doing now on YouTube, it was the first book that I read because I loved it so much. I wanted to have a audio representation of the book. And when I read it out loud, the more I read, the more I realized that the author was putting in her own religious Catholic belief system. I believe she added to it. So There are many parts in the book where you could tell she was talking to God and the answers were from God. And then there were other instances where you could tell that she added to it. And I think when the author adds its personal impression, right? When it comes to religion, I don't believe they do it on purpose. I believe they think they're doing the right thing. But in this cultural awareness place that we are in today, I don't believe this language, this sentence would hold weight anymore. So the way it's read in the book is, you can imagine what kind of creative energy is unleashed whenever two or more are gathered in my name. I would like to change that to, you can imagine what kind of creative energy is unleashed whenever two or more are gathered. And mass consciousness, why that is so powerful, it can create events and circumstances of worldwide import and planetary consequences. It would not be accurate to say, not in the way you mean it, that you are choosing these consequences. You are not choosing them any more than I am choosing them. Like me, you are observing them and deciding who you are with regard to them. And yet, there are no victims in the world. There are no villains. And neither are you a victim of the choices of others. Hold on a second, guys. Turning the page. At some level, you all have created that which you say you detest, right? And you all have created it. You have, and having created it, you have chosen it, right? Has anyone had a situation where you detest something, or you detest your a person at work, a parent, a child, a neighbor, right? At some level, you've all created that which you say you detest. And having created it, you have chosen it. A husband, a relationship, right? Do we create the very thing that we say we detest? This is an advanced level of thinking, and it is one which all the masters reach sooner or later. For it is only when they can accept responsibility, we're going to get a little deep now, for all of it, that they can achieve the power to change part of it. Now, I do a lot of psychic readings, and I get a lot of victims in my readings, right? Tracy, this happened to me. This person did this to me. And after a while, the good part about maturing in any level of your career is understanding that you too have to mature. And if you're going to help others, you have to help others mature, right? And so a lot of times I get a lot of victims in my readings. They're not saying they're victims. They're not, oh, Tracy, I'm such a victim. That's not what's happening. They're saying, this happened to me. And this wasn't fair. I don't deserve this. And you absolutely don't. None of you all deserve to have the experiences that are coming through in the readings. Because some of the experiences are harsh. But then I have to point out or question Did you contribute to that though? What part of you maintained the problem, right? So I'll give you a good example. If you're in a relationship and you know the relationship is bad and you know the person is cheating, it's one thing to forgive. It's another thing to have it happen again and you forgive it again. It's another thing for it to happen a third time and you forgive it the third time. It's another thing when it continuously happens in a 20-year relationship. What part of that is something that you created? Let's sit on that for a moment. Because that goes for work, that goes for parent-child relationships, right? How can we sit back and blame everything and not see our part in it? Let's go over that one more time. At some level, you have all created that which you detest. And having created it, you have chosen it. This is an advanced level of thinking. And it is one which all the masters reach sooner or later. For it is only when you can accept responsibility for all of it. Notice the key word, not part of it. That you can accept responsibility for all of it. That you can achieve the power to change, here's the trick, part of it. Wow, that blows my mind. That blows my mind. It's my job, and this is me arguing with God now, right? It's my job to see what I did wrong in a situation where I got screwed over. And unless I grow to master's level and know that I have the power to understand that I have to accept full responsibility for what my part in a situation, I have to, listen, that blows my mind. I have to accept full responsibility. And only then can I change part of it. I can't even change the whole scope of the problem. I can only change part of it. And I'm wondering now, without reading further, is the part that I'm changing after accepting full responsibility is the part that I'm changing me, right? Am I changing just me? The part that God says you have to accept full responsibility to change part of it, right? So if we go back to someone that's been in a bad relationship and the person has been cheating on them for a lifetime, right? For a lifetime. 20 years is a long time. Hell, 3 times is a long time. Let's be clear, once is a long time. And for me not to understand that something about me chose that, not the person chose the situation. And I'll tell you why you chose it. Because there was something in that person that showed that to you in the first place. People aren't sneaky. People show you who they are. Picking up on the signs, your problem. but the signs would have always been there. People cannot maintain a lie. It's impossible. How many times have we seen like mafia people disappear for 20 years and then they get caught because the lie cannot be maintained? Something about that person gives themselves away. Whether or not people caught it right away is two different things. But there is something going on that you should have seen. The signs would have been there for you then to venture further into fiance, into marriage, only to find out those signs that you saw before are showing up again, because they're recurring inside your system. And then to say, for you to understand, is that something that you chose? Now, I'm talking about relationships. You know, this happens with children too. How many times do we ignore our children's behavior only to find it smack us right in the ass? Right? How many times do we go to school and defend our children's very poor behaviors? Very poor. And we looking at the teachers like, that ain't my child. That must be you. Right? And so you never get to deal with that child. Like that child should have been dealt with when they were 8, when they were 10. Don't even talk to me about the 13, 14, 15, 16, whew, that difficult age, because you would have to nip that at 4, right? And then one day, all those school meetings that you ignored, when the child has no one else to give it to, what does he do? Gives it to you, right? And now you're forced to look at your situation and say, can you say I fucked up? Is that one of the things for a parent to acknowledge when they're looking at their 25-year-old? And if that is something that needs to be changed, can you change it today? Remember, you can only change part of it. But is that part that needs to be changed? Is that part of it you? Do you need to change part of it? Yeah, you do. You absolutely do. I remember when I was raising my son, and oh my God, he was a rebel without a cause. I never understood why he challenged authority inappropriately, right? To me, he just wanted to be a clown all day, just a clown. I never said that out loud, but I just couldn't understand the goofiness that kept coming out of him. Turns out he wanted to be an actor, and I was like, okay, I get it. You know, he's not mainstream. Let me do something that could get him to not look so bad in the eyes of the educational system, because the educational system for him was so rigid. And so I put him into acting and he thrived there. His schoolwork got better because in the end, all he wanted to do was act. And comedic acting, like he loved to make people laugh. But I think what I missed, if I were to say, did I miss something? I would say yes. I missed the fact that maybe discipline was still in order. I thought something got fixed when I put him into acting and he auto corrected himself. I wasn't watching other things. And maybe I was ignoring other things. Maybe I was too proud of him because he was such a good actor. I think I missed a lot. And then one day he was no longer a cute little 10-year-old, right? He was 20 something and not so cute anymore because he started feeling his ass. Let's just say that. Started feeling his ass. And then he's an only child. So, of course, I didn't want him to feel his ass in a way where he would leave me because he's an only child. Now I realize, y'all got only childs out there? Make another one. Make another one. Only childs feel their ass. And they will get back at you because you have nothing else. Right? That's just a side note. And then one day I had to really look at myself. And I had to say that the need to want him to be and acknowledge me and talk to me and call me was a detriment to my soul. And then one day, last year, even though maybe I did it when I felt like he could be safe, once he found his wife, who to this day I think is amazing for him, and he showed his ass to me, I don't know, it made it easy for me to walk away. But maybe I walked away knowing that he would be safe with someone, you know? But a part of me had to figure out that it was important to walk away. Remember, a part of me had to figure out that it was important to walk away. Because in the end, by walking away, I found me. I found me. And I like that part of me that has nothing to do with the need of my son. And that's just a recent discovery, guys, in the past 18 months, in the past, since I've been here in St. Croix. And I like it. I like me. Not that it was a challenge, right? I didn't know I was going to like me. I discovered that only recently. I'm only saying that because of the way this book is written today. It's like there's an advanced level of thinking, and it is one which all the masters reach sooner or later. And masters doesn't mean you have a higher education. Mastering something is moving up the difficult levels to get to a place where you can accept personal responsibility for all of it, that you then can achieve, that you then can deal, that you are then given the power to change part of it. That's profound for me. That's profound. I don't know. That's a little thick. Does anyone understand what I'm trying to say in working with that particular sentence right there? Is anyone like confused or need more to go on? And please, if I'm hitting home with anyone, do not take it personally, right? My whole objective is to tell you my personal experience. So if I can give you my personal experience, don't take anything I say personally. All right? Just let me know what you guys are getting out of this. I would be curious. All right. Let's take a look. Let's dig a little deeper. Let's go further. So as long as you entertain the notion that there is something or someone else out there doing it, they put in parentheses, doing it to you, You disempower yourself to do anything about it. Whew. Only when you say, I did this, can you find the power to change it. Now, because I'm in the metaphysical world, one of the things that I get often is, Tracy, I feel like someone is doing something to me. You know what my first answer is without looking at the cards? No, they're not. No, no one's doing anything to you. And they're like, Tracy, I'm from New Orleans, da da ba ba boom. And trust me, the New Orleans women are constantly blowing juju at each other. It is the weirdest thing that happens in New Orleans. I promise you, they do that all day, every day to each other. Tell me I'm lying, people from New Orleans. Tell me I'm lying, and I will call you a liar. Y'all are constantly throwing juju at each other. Y'all took Marie Laveau seriously. She resting peacefully. So I get people, and they go, Tracy, it's true. And then they'll give me a scenario, right? Never having proof. Never having proof. And you know what I say to them always? I'm like, even if someone is throwing something at you, any juju, do you realize you have the power to change that? You have the power to win over anything that anyone's throwing at you. Anything that anyone is throwing at you, you have the power to overlook it. And you know why you have the power to overlook it? Because every single one of us are going to have amazing times in our lives, and every single one of us are going to have the worst times in our lives. And that is not because of juju. I promise you. So, ignore the fact that someone could be throwing juju at you. But a lot of people say, well, Tracy, she's throwing juju at me because my man never act this way. No, let's go back up to the part where you can give up your man. If your man is acting funky and you think she's throwing juju at you and he keeps going to her, maybe you, what is it? The masters? Maybe you need to reach master level, right? And accept full responsibility that this is a relationship that's just not working out. Moving on. Instead of thinking someone's doing juju. If someone's doing juju, trust and believe. If it works, you're not meant to be together. If it doesn't work, no juju can keep two people apart. Period. Point blank. On a dime. Period with the T. No juju can keep anything. Might you have to reorganize your life? And that's really the bad luck? Yes. You don't get to just lose your job, right? You lose your job because something happened. Was it something that you contributed to? Right? I used to be an HR representative, HR rep. And there were times when I've worked for companies and we had to have a mass layoff. You know what they do when they have a mass layoff? They look at people who are underperformers, right? They look at people that have attendance issues. They look at people's reviews, right? And so even in a mass layoff, you know which ones are getting laid off? The ones that don't perform well in one way or another. And so it might look to you like you've never done anything wrong, but did you do your best? Because I promise you, being on the inside of layoffs, We always get rid of the underperformers, the ones with problematic reviews, the one with bad attitudes, the ones that think they're getting over because they're so quiet. They think they're getting over. You're not. HRC's everything. And so sometimes when you say, well, Tracy, it wasn't my fault because, everybody got laid off. I hear that. But the key to that is not everybody got laid off. So why were you chosen? Now, do we need to look at that when I'm doing a psychic reading? No. We need to move on and figure out when your next job is coming through for you. However, there's something inherent in that, where if you could look at what created that part where you were put on that list, that would be more beneficial to you than just going out and finding the next job. What would be more beneficial is figuring out how you wound up on that list. Right? So, as long as you entertain the notion that something or someone else out there is, quote unquote, doing it to you, you disempower yourself to do anything about it. Only when you say, I did this, in quotes, can you find the power to change it. So, getting back to relationship issues, when you find the ability to say, I created the opportunity. I know this is going to sound crazy for some of y'all, so just sit down. I created the opportunity for my relationship to cheat on me. I did that. I participated in that. Can you change it? If you see it that way and not see the other woman trying to put juju on you or the other woman trying to take your man from you, no one can take someone from you. He walks away. She walks away. Be it temporary or not, comes back home to you. That person that you have an intimate relationship is the only person that's responsible for answering to you. But there may come a time when you have to say, am I creating this? Am I allowing this? And then stand in that. If you want to allow it, stand in it. Just don't come back and say, I'm the victim. I did not want him to go out and cheat. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you don't deal with it, can you not change it? Because the whole objective is for you to expect change from your partner. That's the expectation. When the expectation here that I'm reading is for you to change you. And is changing you meaning you need to walk away for something that is not serving your purpose. It's a little deep today, guys. It's okay. Like anything else, let's deal with it. It's okay if it's a little deep. But I do believe that if we stand in our power more, right, could we then be at our happiest? If we stood in our personal power more, could we then be at our happiest? And if that means acknowledging that you're participating in your partner cheating on you, then that's something we're just going to have to do. But if you acknowledge that, as painful as that even sounds to me telling you, you would have to change something. Because none of us would let that type of pain sit in. It's one thing if somebody cheats on us and that's painful. And you don't want the other person to win. So you're going to stay with this person because I'll be damned if I put in all this work and somebody else gets all this work, please, the other person's not getting a prize. Hi, Colin. Good morning. But if you allow yourself to see that you participated in a demise of anything, it's only then that you can change it. And that is so beautiful to get to that level. In the book, they're saying it's a master's level. And master meaning being able to deal with our raw emotions from a 5-year-old's reaction to a 25-year-old's actions to a 60-year-old's mentality. You don't have to wait till you get 60. You can master the different levels and take responsibility for everything that goes on in your life. And that's with your relationships, with your children, with your parents. How do I contribute to this when I allow my parents to talk bad to me? How do I contribute to this? Tracy, all my mom does is talk bad to me. And you're living at home? Yes. And how old are you? 35. Why are you living at home? And of course, I'll get all the excuses, right? Thousands of excuses. I can't even tell you how many people tell me excuses. None of it makes sense. When at 35, you should just be on your own. That in itself will create an atmosphere of change that's required for you. Thank you, Sylvester. Yes, that is deep. Thank you. Yes, Tiffany Henderson. What you think you create, you are manifesting. So remember, manifesting, Tiffany, feels like it's abundance, right? Remember, we can manifest negativity. We can manifest the ugly out of someone's personality. We can do that. We can make someone treat us poorly. That's all a manifestation too. But at a master's level, we have to see, did I create that ugly that's being given to me from somebody else? Did I create that? When my mom talks bad to me and I stand in it as a grown woman, do I create that? Or can I say, which is what I said to my mom, I must have been like young. I don't think I had a child yet. And my mom had a habit of hitting when I was a child. And as an adult, and when I say adult, you know, in Black families back in the day, you could be 18, 19, 20, 21. They still did not treat you like adults. They were terrible, terrible aunties and parents, right? And so I'm like 21, but they don't let you be 21. And my mom had a habit of ha 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 ha, joke, joke, joke would come out. And she would hit me. But every time she hit me, it stung. But she was doing it in a joke. Right? And I was like, but I had to get there, right? So I didn't get there till I was 21. And I had to get there and I had to figure out she was doing it because it was that version of me when I was 10. She was keeping that up. Now it's just the adult version. Every time there's a joke, and I don't even have to perform the joke. It was somebody else in the room. Man, she was hitting me on my back, but it stung. And every time she did it, it brought me back to being 10. And one day I said to her, you better not ever put your hands on me. Ever again. You got that? And I looked her dead in the eye. And I whispered it, because we were at my aunt's house, so I didn't want everybody to see. I was chastising my mom, right? That was a moment between us. I didn't need help from my aunties. My aunties were bad people. And they'd be like, oh my God, look at Tracey telling her mother off. Go, girl, go, girl. I had aunts like that. They were weird. And so I didn't want an audience. I didn't want support. I just wanted this shit to stop. And I figured that moment was the best moment. And if it got out of hand, it was going to get out of hand because of my mother. It was not going to get out of hand because of me. Because I leaned into her and I gave her the respect in a room full of people. To this day, no one knew what I said to her. But I looked her dead in the eye and I said, this will be your last time. You better stop. Boom. Everything changed. Everything changed. There was not a disrespect to be found in what I said to her. I said, stop. I meant it. Although I got to be honest with you, I have no idea if she would have continued, what would have happened, child. Thank God. I put the fear of God in her and she saw something in me. She never put her hands on me ever again, not even in a joke. Ever again. Boom. At 21, in that instant, I had to get to an advanced level of thinking. And it is one which all the masters reach sooner or later. In that instant, I did that. So as long as you entertain the notion that there is something or someone else out there doing it to you, right? I could have said all my life, my mom did this to me, and that's the reason why I'm so fucked up. My mom did this. I don't want to live that way. I don't want to live that way. I knew this from youth. I would not be able to spend the rest of my life complaining about my mother. My life mattered. And what I did with it was my life. And how I did it was my life. And I was not going to spend my life complaining about my mommy. No. And I don't know how I got there, people. I don't know. I just know I'm of gratitude that I was able to see that I can't blame my mom for anything that I create in my life. Well, I'm not successful because my mom did this to me and my mom did that. I don't care. I knew the world was my oyster and what I put in it is what I create, and I was going to do that. Had no idea what it could be because the world was a blank canvas. I just wasn't going to spend it by putting my mother's energy before me. So as long as you entertain the notion that there is something or someone else out there doing it to you, you disempower yourself to do anything about it. Only when you say, I did this, can you find the power to change it. So when my mom was jokingly hitting me at 21, which was a continuation of 10, of 16, because I left my mom. I ran away and I went to go live with my dad, who was the saving grace. So there was a long period where the relationship between my mother and I had been aborted. So upon coming back, my mom came back looking at me as a 10-year-old. I had grown up, but she didn't get to see me grow up. And it was at that point that I had to say to her, woman. But I can tell you this, it changed my whole life, speaking up. It changed how I would not let anyone treat me bad. It changed how I treated my ex-husband when he began to cheat on me. I did not stay in that marriage long, particularly I had a baby by this point. And you think I'm going to spend any time with a baby watching my husband cheat on me? Not happening. That moment that I spoke up to my mother was a life forever changing moment with everyone. Meaning, I did this. I create my destiny. I make my own decisions. I will change the course of my life if the course needed to be changed. I responsible for and I own it. And so when my husband began to cheat on me, first I watched him. We went through the story before. First I observed him because I just wanted to make sure if I left him, I was leaving him with no regrets. Let me tell you something, no regrets. Because I observed him. And observed him. And observed him. And observed him. And loved him while I was observing him and not arguing with him. Because if I argue, I'm begging for him to change. And I'm not asking for him to change. I'm observing him because I'm trying to figure out, do I need to change? And when I figured out that I needed to change, the change was easy. I left. Proudly. No regrets. I was 26 years old. I left. Whew. All right. Some deep stuff going on today, huh? Wow, this is hitting home. Is it? Is it, sweetie? Black coffee? I hope I'm making a difference when you say it's hitting home. I hope I'm making a difference when you need to look at, are you responsible? And can you make the necessary changes? Remember, manifesting is easy. From a positive perspective, very, very easy. Looking at, do you manifest ugly too? That's the hard part. I like good manifestations though. Yeah, I don't like bad manifestations. But if it shows up, right? What does God say in the previous text that we read? It's given to you for the experience. What you do with the experience is up to you. All right, let's continue on. It is much easier to change what you are doing than to change, I just said this, than to change what another is doing. I just said this, right? I'm not going to ask my husband to stop cheating. No, boy, cheat all you want. But I'm going to change how much longer this occurs. And if I change how much longer this occurs, you and I will never talk. And you know what, guys? We never talked after that. When I left, I meant it. It is much easier to change what you are doing. I had to leave. I had to acknowledge that I, in some way, was encouraging the cheating. Sounds weird, but that's what it is. I had to acknowledge that my personality type encouraged his cheating and his lies. And so it's much easier to change what you are doing than to change what another is doing. You know, this could make sense when you have a bunch of friends, right? You're in your 20s, your sloppy drunk friends, go out. We've all done this, right? We hang out, we party, go to clubs. And then there comes a time when partying isn't so good. You don't like it. And I remember being in my 20s, maybe early 30s, and my girls and I, from the hospital that we worked in, party every single Friday after work. And then slowly but surely, the girls started not to come. We would go to a party with a party of 10, and then it would dwindle down to 5. And one day it dwindled down to 2. And the security at the club looked at us one day and he said, "Oh, we're regulars." And I was like, what the fuck? Had I become a regular? Last time I went and partied hard. You can call me anything you want. You're not about to call me a regular at a club. Last time I went, I didn't even tell my friend like why I stopped. It was just important for me to change my behavior. Time to grow up, Tracy. Last thing I wanted was to be a regular at a club. That's never going to be my personality. And I was being labeled that. I'm out. I'm out. It is much easier to change what you are doing than to change another. Yes, Tracy, you are making a difference. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, Black Coffee. Oh. Just breathe, everyone. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Breathe it out your mouth. Do it again through your nose. Breathe it out your mouth. Yes. Yes. Breathe it out. One more time. Breathe through your nose. And then out your mouth. Yes. Yes. Just breathe. Change? Oh my God. Change is so hard. Change is so hard. But you know how it begins, guys? Change begins as a thought, not as an action. It begins as a thought, not as an action. So allow yourself to figure out in your mind what type of changes need to occur and give yourself permission to create an action. All right? Thank you, Lisa. You are making a difference, Tracy. Please tell me, when have you not? Touche. Touche. It's what I pray for all day, every day. Hi, Sweets Carmel. Thank you for the purple heart. Thank you. And Lisa, change will always begin with self. Yes, that's the truth. The first step in changing anything is to know and accept that you have chosen it to be what it is. Damn, that's deep. Because I keep going back to my past behaviors and how I can agree I allowed my husband to cheat on me. And don't get me wrong, it has nothing to do with arguing with him, right? It had everything to do with sitting in it and coming up for all kinds of reasons why I couldn't do anything but stay with a cheater. I have a 2-year-old. I don't have a job. Child. The first step in changing anything is to know and accept that you have chosen it to be what it is. If you can't accept this on a personal level, agree to it through your understanding that we all are one. Seek then to create change, not because a thing is wrong, but because it no longer makes an accurate statement of who you are, right? So I can only go back to my personal experience, and this makes sense, right? As long as I allowed the cheating, I was telling someone out there that this is who I am. I'm the type of person that allows cheating, right? And it doesn't mean I didn't fight with my ex-husband. Don't do that. Don't do this. You get off at this time. Why are you coming in at this time? It didn't mean that I didn't stand my ground in my relationship. It just meant that I was actually telling people that I am the type of person that lets someone cheat on me. And on an organic level, I knew that, right? On an organic level, I knew what I was saying to others. My husband cheated on me. Oh, really? What happened? And then the story is the same over and over again. Did I really want to be that person that constantly said my husband cheated on me? Do I really want to be that person where everybody knew my husband cheated on me? What title was I giving myself when I didn't do something different? So, the first step in changing anything is to know and accept that you have chosen it to be what it is. If you can't accept this on a personal level, agree to it through your understanding that we are all one. Seek then to create change, not because a thing is wrong. I don't think I've ever said my husband was wrong for cheating. He's allowed to do whatever he wants, married or no married. 10 commandments or no 10 commandments. He is allowed to do whatever he wants. Do I have to stand in his filth? Seek then to create change, not because a thing is wrong, but because it no longer makes an accurate statement of who you are. And that's why it was so easy to leave. Because what I decided to do was not fight him. I'm leaving you, and slam doors and pretend to pack bags, when all that is just temporary drama because you're trying to get him to change, and you think that an action of pretending to leave the marriage would make him change. That's not how change occurs. Change occurs because you have to say, I am done. I am done. I am done. And then make the change, whatever that looks like to you. Because it no longer makes an accurate statement of who I am. Your cheating no longer impacts how I thrive, how I live, how people look at me, or the statement or the words that come out of my mouth. I've only talked about my husband cheating in this portion, right? I did not spend I've been divorced from him for how many years? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 40 years complaining about this man cheating. Because I got healthy when I made the necessary changes. I'm only talking about it now because I want you guys to understand how I got healthy. I can't imagine having had stayed with this man who never left the block when we got separated. It was a particular block that he never left that block in the last 40 years. Never left that block. And does not own a home. I can understand if you own a home, that would be different. Does not own a home. And never left a particular block. Weird. The action is weird, not the man. The action is weird. And I can't imagine having had stayed in an environment where I didn't get out. Me, I'm a nomad. I didn't know it, but I know it now. But I also find as a nomad, or better yet, as a butterfly, and moving around a lot got me to be around different types of people, and they impact me and I impact them, and I feel like I had a wonderful life by not being stationary in a relationship with a cheater. Like, ew, I can't imagine that, and I'm so glad that I changed me. Not him. I changed me. All right. Let's see what everybody is saying. We teach others how to treat us by our behavior. Yes, we do. That is deep. Yeah, it is deep, sweet Carmel. Hi, Lottie. Lottie goes, Lottie says, but we can't seem to access that part of ourselves in a way without God's grace. I don't know what you mean by that. The access is always in you by God's grace. Whether or not you want to unlock it is two different things. We can't blame God. And we can't say without his grace. God gives us permission to be a bitch ass sometimes too. You understand? When I had to say to my mother, you've got your last time. You think God was all up in that? Well, he was. But God's grace was there so that I could say it in such a way that no one else knew I was disrespecting my mom. It was truly just between the two of us. That's God's grace. Yes, I agree. Let me see. Deep, definitely deep conversations. Sometimes, Lottie says, I can't work out what I was meant to be done till years later. Okay. The energy to go, I feel, comes from God in a way. It has to come from God. I don't want you to get confused. God, this whole conversation is with God. So everything comes from God, but be careful that you're using God because you don't want to advance. That's the difference. Because anything you do is from God. Anything. All right. That connection to everyone means that when I shift, yes, sweet Carmel. That connection to everyone means that when I shift, it sends a ripple and shifts everyone else. Yes. Even if it's only in their thought processes. Daggone, sweet Carmel. Sweet Carmel got the message. She got the message. Woo! I love that. So let's go back. Let me just read this again. There is an advanced level of thinking, and it is one which all masters reach sooner or later, for it is only when they can accept responsibility for all of it that they can change the power, achieve the power to change part of it. So as long as you entertain the notion that there is something or someone else out there doing it to you, you disempower yourself to do anything about it. Only when you say, I did this, can you find the power to change it. It's much easier to change what you are doing than to change what another is doing. The first step in changing anything is to know and accept that you have chosen it to be what it is. If you can't accept this on a personal level, agree to it through your understanding that we are all one. Going back to Sweet Carmel. The connection to everyone seems that when I shift, it sends a ripple effect and shifts everyone else, even if it's only in the thought processes. The first step in changing anything is to know and accept that you have chosen it to be what it is. If you can't, and Lottie, that goes for you too. The first step in changing anything is to know and accept that you have chosen it to be what it is, whatever that is. Whatever that is, that's a choice that you made. If you can't accept this on a personal level, agree to it through your understanding that we are all one. That connection to everyone means that when I shift, when I make a change, it sends a ripple and shifts everyone else, even if it's only in their thought processes. Seek then to create change, not because a thing is wrong, but because it no longer makes an accurate statement of who you are. And that change will always be done with God's grace. There is only one reason to do anything as a statement to the universe of who you are. There is only one reason to do anything as a statement to the universe of who you are. Used in this way, life becomes self-creative. You use life to create yourself as who you are and who you've always wanted to be. There is only one reason to undo anything, because it is no longer a statement of who you want to be. Wow. It does not reflect you. It does not represent you. That is, it does not represent you. Let's go over that again. There is only one reason to do anything as a statement to the universe of who you are. There's only one reason to do anything as a statement to the universe of who you are. Used in this way, life becomes self-creative. You use life to create self as who you are and who you've always wanted to be. So there's a placement. I am and what I want to be. There is also one reason to undo anything, because it's no longer a statement of who you want to be. It does not reflect you. It does not represent you. That is, it does not represent you. So let's think of that in terms of relationships. When you know someone is not good for you in a relationship, you know it. Remember that. You know this organically. And you know change needs to occur. Using the way life becomes self-creative. Self-creative. You use life to create self as who you are and who you've always wanted to be. There is also one reason to undo anything. So if you undo releasing yourself, walking away from a relationship because it is no longer a statement of who you want to be. You don't want to be someone that walks away from a relationship, even though organically the relationship is not good for you. It does not reflect you. It does not represent you. That is, it does not represent you. There's only one reason to undo anything, because it no longer is a statement of who you want to be. It does not reflect you. It does not represent you. Oh, I get it. That is, it does not represent you. So when you undo something, like I remember, I can only go by me. I remember loving to say I was married. I remember that. I remember saying, I am Mrs. So-and-so. You know what I got out of that? It didn't mean I loved my husband. It meant I like being Mrs. So-and-so. Because back in the day, when I go back 40 years, the Mrs. had meaning. The Mrs. don't have meaning nowadays, right? But to be Mrs. So-and-so, what's your name? Mrs. Tracey so-and-so. I loved that. And I don't know why I loved that. I don't know if I loved it because it proved to the world that I was married, that someone loved me enough to make me a Mrs., right? Which is a misnomer because fuck that shit. I don't need to be a Mrs. I need to be respected. I remember being separated for 7 years because I didn't want to lose the Mrs. title. That's the only reason why I was separated for 7 years. And when all was said and done, one day I said something to a coworker, and my coworker said, "That's the first time you said my ex," talking about my ex-husband. She says, "That's the first time you said my ex." And I said, "What?" And she says, "Whenever you refer to your husband, you never call him an ex. You always say my husband," which aligned me with being a Mrs. So I might have had a master's level to leave him in a form of leaving the marriage permanently. I still hadn't reached the proper levels to eradicate him. So what did I do? I learned to use the word ex. And when I began to learn to use the word ex, I had to file for the divorce because he was never going to do it. Right? And so I get the divorce. My son is like 7 or 8. I think he was in the second grade, so he's definitely 7. And because my son was in school and had his dad's name, I kept my married name to make sure it aligned with my son. That's the way I justified it. I knew that I didn't want people to think that I was ghetto, having babies willy-nilly, out of wedlock. So I wanted the public to know, particularly teachers who at the time were white. I didn't want them to judge me, and I didn't want them to think I was having babies out of wedlock. So I kept the name. I added Brown and then kept the last name, and even asked the judge if I could do that. And the judge put that in the divorce decree. I said, "Can I keep my name, my married name, to go along with my son's last name?" And the judge agreed and put it in the divorce decree. And for many years, I still carried my last name until I was invited to my ex-husband's daughter's ballet concert. And his wife was there, I was there, my son was there, we were watching this little girl do ballet. And then we were all standing outside together, and somebody said, "Mrs. Hearn," and we both turned around. And I was embarrassed. I was in her neighborhood, and I turned around because that was my name too. And it was at that point that I had to reach another level. And I said to my son, "Hey," he's now 16, right? And I go, "Hey, so I was thinking about changing my last name to just Brown." You know what my son said to me? "Do it. Do whatever you want." I was like, "Okay." Freedom. You know how many years it took me to get there? We're talking about from 26. From 26. My son is now 16. For me to fully say, "I'm Tracey Brown. Nice to meet you." Right? So, let's go back. There is only one reason to do anything as a statement to the universe of who you are. Used in this way, life becomes self-created. You use life to create yourself as who you are, who you've always wanted to be. There is only one reason to undo anything. You undo it because it's no longer a statement of who you want to be, right? Do you want to be separated? Do you want to be divorced? If you undo it, you're saying to people, I do not want to do this. If you're going to school, so you could tell people, I am in school, but you stop going to school, and this is for mature adults, you are saying you can have 1,000 reasons why you're not going to school. I hear that, but you're still undoing it, because in undoing it, you no longer want to see yourself as a student. Am I making sense? In undoing something, you no longer want to see yourself as single, divorced, free, because it's no longer a statement of who you want to be. It no longer reflects you. It no longer represents you. That is, it does not represent you. When you make a change, you represent yourself as is. And again, it took me years to get to the place of representing myself. Hello, I am Tracey Brown. Nice to meet you. Interesting enough, my life did not change until I came back to myself. I had to become Tracey Brown to be a public figure, to be a psychic, to help others. God was never going to give me everything that I have today until I gave up that part of my life that did not represent me. I had to show God. I had the strength, the wherewithal, the maturity, the consciousness to achieve starting over. But that took years. And yet, when I started over, so my life began. Interesting enough, it began at 0. It didn't change dramatically and I wound up in a mansion. I became a psychic. No, it began at 0, which means I started taking classes, started being a part of a community that could help develop my skill. And this took years and years of development. All the while, I'm developing under the name Tracey Brown, the original me, the person that I want you to see. All right, guys, I think I'm going to stop here. If you wish to accurately represent it, you must work to change anything in your life which does not fit into the picture of who that you wish to project into eternity. I didn't even read this part, but do you see what I'm trying to say? This makes so much sense. If you wish to be accurately represented, you must work to change anything. Notice they said anything in your life which does not fit into the picture of who that you wish to project into eternity. I would have never been here today with all of you with my married name. It did not fit me. It wasn't mine. It belongs to another woman. No fault of hers. But I was holding on to a life and a past that didn't represent me. And so when I understood that giving up the name, although I had an excuse for years, well, my son is this name, so I'm not giving up this name. No. All I ever wanted to believe people to understand was that I had been married. Period. 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 I was more in love with marriage than I was with the relationship of the man that could cheat on me. It was the title that I was in love with. And once I recognized that, oh, freedom. And once I recognized it, thought, and then did action, divorce, and then created another action years later, take back my name, that I then present to the world new Tracey. But that new Tracey had to get recreated because I did not know new Tracey, right? There's only, and let me see, if you wish to be accurately represented, you must work to change anything in your life which does not fit into the picture of who that you wish to project into eternity. What I am now projecting into eternity is Tracey Brown the psychic. Fucking deal with it. Everyone. Every religious person out there, every grandmother, every, I don't know. Actually, I don't meet up with these people anymore. Someone comes to me and says, what do you do for a living? All right. Still looking for my family tribe. Haven't given up learning because that would stop me from mastering myself. That's right. And helping those I'm called to help. Yes. And I would say, stop looking for your family tribe, sweet Carmel. Be that which you want to present to the world for eternity. Your tribe will just show up. Remember that. But also remember, you can walk into a tribe, not want to deal with it from a human side, and exit left. So be careful that you are given something and you still have some part of you that is uncomfortable. That's not your family tribe, that is you. So I would say to you, work on you. Don't worry about your family tribe. Because once you find your family tribe, you're going to find it under new you. Because when you find it under new you, it makes more sense who your tribe is. But you new has to be created. And that means it takes time. Like I said, it took me years to take back my name, Tracey Brown. And even then, when I took it back, I had to start from zero. Because the identity that I was learning under, no one could give that to me. I had to work for this new identity. I had to find out where it fit, how I fit, where my comfort zone was. I've met many a family tribe. None of them are with me right now. Because as I grew and mastered, I had to walk away to master another level because I always wound up with people that wanted to keep me safe and contained. And that's unacceptable. So I had to keep moving. And I had to keep growing. And I had to keep meeting the greatest of people, even if it's temporary, to get me to get to St. Croix. And voila. Why am I here? Who knows? Who knows? But imagine if along the way, what I want to call my family tribe had stopped me in Jersey. In Jersey, 40 years ago, I would be stuck in Jersey. No. After watching Real Housewives of New Jersey, hell the fuck no. So I would say to you, sweet Carmel, Don't give up learning, because you're absolutely right. Mastering thyself is the key to helping others that you're called to help. Ah, wow. Sometimes I think I can't put in a full hour, and other times I do 2 hours without thinking. Isn't that beautiful? All right, guys, I'm out. I hope I helped. Notice I never say in an arrogant way, I did help. I always say, I hope I helped. You know what's interesting though? As I'm reading this book, I'm helping me too. And there's such sweetness in being able to help and help yourself, help others and help yourself too. That's so sweet to me. That I'm never the master of education, the master of spirituality, the master of knowledge. That the arrow is pointed in both directions, from my heart chakra to your heart chakra, back to my heart chakra. Thank you, Lottie. Thank you. I love you too. Thank you. All right, guys, let me get out of here. I need to do Aquarius's horoscope. Thank God it's a good sign that doesn't complain. And so they're up next. The horoscopes are up, everyone. Horoscopes are up. All right. If you want a reading with me, 213-458-7408. They're on Zoom, they're on FaceTime, they're on regular phone. But call me so we can get there. You know, I did not have a me as a reader to help me. I did not have a me. So I became the me that I would have wanted in my life. And that's why I do psychic readings. Because I wish I had had the help that I offer up to others. So call me, 213-458-7408, and look at the horoscopes. Why are they up? Look at them. And if there's anything in those horoscopes that you want to elaborate on, get back with me. I love you guys. Take it easy. Bye.
Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Gals and guys, go